Is Trump doing a major White House shakeup? There's been in the news that Susie Wiles is on the chopping block, even down to thoughts of DOJ, thoughts of FBI, thoughts of other parts of the administration, because he is not liking what he's seeing as we go into 2026. Well, we should probably fix the Senate and Congress too, but I digress. We can't really do anything about that, especially when it comes to Trump. But what Trump could do is start doing a massive shakeup and start telling people this is our plan forward. I hope that's what he does, because if not, I'm scared we're going to lose the midterm. We're going to talk about the major shakeup that we're hoping that will happen, some of the names that we should see go, and hopefully some that will come along. Now, secondly, this is one of the reasons I believe we need a big shakeup. EPA, under Selden, and RFK, HHS, we just opened up the door for 2 more pesticides that are dangerous for us, that have PFA knowledge and risk. Now, they said there's no risk to them, but just like every other chemical that we're putting on our food is getting into our ground. Why are we doing this to our food? Why are we contaminating it? It just blows my mind. We're going to discuss this because this is why I believe that Trump has got to get back on point when it comes to some of the people in his cabinet and his administration, like the Real ID, Digital ID stuff with Kristi Noem, to now PFAs sprayed on our food. Not good. Also, we're going to discuss gaming. We need to keep our kids away from digitized devices all the time. My kids have to earn it. Here's a story. Again, we saw a Sean Ryan podcast with Mr. Montgomery talking about the dangers of it, but there's a new study that shows that they're getting our families biometrics. They are literally tapping in, and for you to get some of these games are getting every aspect of your child. Is that really a good thing? Why are we allowing our games in our schools and all this digitized forms to raise our children and not us? We need to talk about this. And lastly, we're going to listen to what a doctor says. His final warning before he died. Before he died. It's something we've been talking about for the last few days, but please heed this warning from him. He is no longer with us because he died suddenly. We're going to discuss what he said. And there's so many more stories. Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now let's jump into these stories because they are some huge stories, some very serious stories. Let's talk about what Trump and hopefully the shakeup will be. This is developing stories. The senior White House aides and cabinet heads are bracing for a major personnel shakeup that POTUS is wanting to do. He says he is getting very unhappy with the economic messaging, and he believes there could be a major shakeup. Actually, one of the biggest shakeups is the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. I've never been a Susie Wiles fan. I believe she's been tied to a lot of lobbying and a lot of establishment government. I've told you this before, talking about Trump 1.0 and now Trump 2.0. Sometimes the people that he surrounds himself with is not the best people, and the people that I probably wouldn't surround myself with. Now again, he is a uber billionaire and he is the president of the United States, so he can do what he wants, but ultimately she was not, I think, a choice that was worthy of Chief of Staff. So I believe that we need to see her go, just like we saw Reince Priebus go and all these other people that were establishment. We need people like Stephen Miller, who believes in the president narrative, to be the Chief of Staff. Not Assistant Chief of Staff, the Chief of Staff. I think Stephen Miller would be a great valid point for this administration. Now, other key shakeups. People have thrown out the name Bondi. I think Bondi should have went a long time ago. I think she never should have been hired because not only the debacle with Epstein, but also what charges have we brought against all these people? She let the Comey and the Letitia James fall through because the judge and also the protocols that she was using. Bottom line is these are high-profile cases. The DOJ should have already been on top of the protocols and made sure it gets in front of judges that we're not just going to give them a pass. So we're saying, yes, well, they're going to refile it, blah, 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 all this junk. Bottom line is we dropped the ball. And really, if you remember, Bondi dropped the ball on Epstein back in Florida. So she needs to go. Kash Patel, huge Kash Patel fan, was a huge Kash Patel fan. I believe he's dropping the ball. I don't believe that I think this job is way too big for him. I thought he could handle it, but I don't think anymore. I don't think he's the person for it. I think Dan Bongino is a great guy. Loved him before. Worried that it may be too political for him too. So I don't know what his plans are, but I do believe that we need less establishment, more people who are willing to be transparent, but also ones that are willing to burn it all down to get a better outcome. Tucker Carlson did say one thing I thought was really good the other day. He said either we're going to see a complete and utter dictatorship in America, not with Trump, but with somebody because of the way we're ruling, or we're going to literally see a complete reawakening and tear it all down and start back over. Either one of those situations are not good, because ultimately, even though the tearing down will probably end up being better and revitalization, but ultimately there's going to be some hard times there. So I believe we're to that point where if Trump does not straighten this stuff out with his shakeup, I believe we're going to have a major problem. Did you see that we just passed over $39 trillion? Our debt just keeps going up. It's so big now that we don't understand it. The only way to fix our debt is to destroy the dollar, and I believe that's what's going to happen. And truthfully, that's why I think you should move towards gold, move towards barterable goods, move towards food, move towards 2A rights, because I don't believe crypto and Bitcoin is the answer. I do believe that you better protect yourself with assets that are tangible, and because I believe the dollar is going to fall. All this going on, the numbers not coming out for October, all this going on with the shakeups, I believe Trump is finally realizing this is not good. Now that leads me to the next story, because again, we go right into the dangers of bad picks. I don't like Lee Zeldin. I think he was not conservative enough. I like RFK, but I don't believe RFK has actually stood on a lot of his principles that he wanted to. Now, he's talked about the autism thing. He's talked about the CV-19, which we're going to discuss with the doctor in the next few minutes. But ultimately, guess what just happened? This happened just yesterday. Now again, Brooke Rollins pushing for cleaner, better farms, USDA. You have RFK pushing for less sprays, less chemicals. You see the same thing with him on the sprays with aluminum. It's actually killing our bees. We talked about that. And then Lee Zeldin talked about helping America and doing better. Listen to this new story that just came out. The EPA has approved a new pesticide that contains PFAs, forever chemicals, that will be used on vegetables like lettuce, broccoli, and potatoes. It's amazing that we say that we want to deregulate, and we do. I want deregulation. But that doesn't mean we want more sprays going in our food. That means I want deregulation to be able to sell my broccoli, to sell my milk, to sell my eggs to someone without the government's intervention. See, that's the problem. Deregulation doesn't mean government gives more passes. Deregulation means the people get more freedom. Did you hear that? Make sure you understand what I'm saying. The government should not give us more freedom. We should have more freedom. So therefore, when we hear this kind of story, who's actually helping us? So now our food is going to be more tainted? That's what deregulation meant to this administration? No, that's not what we wanted. No one wanted that. No one wants more chemicals on their food. We're trying to get away from that. I don't know where RFK is in this. I don't understand why in the world he's not jumping up in arms about it. But why in the world would we think that we want more sprays and chemicals going on our food? And see, what people don't realize, it's not the fact that it's just going on our food. It's going in the ground. These PFAs are killing people and animals and making us sick. Why do we not see that? Have you not seen these stories where it's in the grounds and then they shut down farms and they shut down operations because these quote-unquote forever chemicals are going to harm us? They get into our water supply, our food supply. That's why I believe in filtration systems like Cove Pure and things like I talk about, because we've allowed for our industries and our farms to be so overwhelmed with more chemicals going in the ground. Did you know DuPont, one of the biggest chemicalized companies, is now making female clothing, workout clothing? But again, the problem is the stuff that you're wearing, the polyester, the garbage, is now causing for harm. Isn't that amazing? It's actually going to cause us for more chemicals in our body and we're putting on our body. It's not right. This is the kind of shakeups that I did not want. These are the kind of deregulations I want. To give more passes for chemicals? No, I want more freedoms for Americans. Let's go to some other stories that are very important. There's a new story that came out that says the gaming platform used nearly by 36 million children is rolling out mandatory facial recognition at a time that could not be more alarming. Now, we're talking about the digital ID and the dangers of it. We're talking about the real ID and the dangers of the biometrics in flying and the penalties of that. Again, here we go again. What it looks like is they're saying it's for child safety. But what these big platforms are doing is now getting our kids eye scans, facial scans from side to side, and getting their thumbprints. You think that's absolutely crazy, but this is the kind of danger that we face. Has anybody seen some of these dystopian movies where they scan people and it tells exactly what they're doing and how they're doing? Edward Snowden warned of this just yesterday from China doing the same thing and says we better learn from China that the dystopian digital ID and the social credit scores that they're doing is coming to America. And it's the Republicans and the conservatives that are so far putting it in. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And even Peter Thiel, who a lot of people don't trust. He even comes out and says, look, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of dangerous. This is serious that we're bringing up the fact that our children can have their biometrics taken. And for what purpose? To play a game? Now, this same game that they're talking about, Roblox and some of those other ones, are some of the ones that Montgomery just brought up with Sean Ryan the other day of the dangers of predators. So we're going to allow them to have our full biometrics and our full information on our children? Please, if I could just beg you, love on your kids. Be a parent. Be careful what they're doing. Phones and digital games and social media, none of those things are bad, but they could be abused, and people can abuse your family with it. So please, please protect your children from these things. We don't allow our kids to play this game. I didn't know much about it, but we don't really do these kind of games. We do like Super Mario, and the reason is because I don't know this kind of stuff, and it could be very dangerous to our children. So pay attention to that. Now, I want to bring up one last story, and this is just, again, why in the world we're allowing this to happen. Listen to what this guy said, and this is shared by Valerie Smith. It says, warning from beyond the grave. The things that we're doing, this is from a doctor who is now gone. His name is Dr. Rashid Buttar. It says his final interview just before he passed, he says, the whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of the next one, and he said there will be a next one, the whole purpose of all these that we put at childbearing years, he said, it's for one purpose. It's a plot for depopulation. Now, we've heard all that. You know that. We've heard this and heard this and heard this. But this is a doctor who's saying, please, please don't do this. Do your research. This stuff is meant to harm us, not help us. And then all of a sudden, this man dies. I don't know what for. I don't know if it was natural causes. But I do think it's a little weird and coincidental. But if we could take a word from this guy saying, please be careful of what they're giving you. I want you to listen to this study that just came out from Nicholas Holscher. This is CDC data now. This is from the CDC that they try to cover up. MMR things that you give your children is linked to 1,600% more deaths than the actual measles infection since 2000. So this that they're giving you to keep you safe from the measles is actually more dangerous by 1,600% in deaths since 2000. So the question is, why do we want to give people this when it's actually more dangerous than the actual thing they would get, than the outbreak itself? Goes back to what that doctor just said. Last thing, and we're going to wrap it up. In the last decade, 13 people have passed from tetanus in the United States. In the last decade, 10 years, only 13 people. Yet, for every baby, they get 5 versions of that same thing injected. The risk is 100 and 154 million of dangers of tetanus. However, every child born gets 5 series for this. Let's go back to what he said before he died, the doctor. What we don't realize is this is not about saving you. The ultimate price is depopulation. That's the plot. Now the question is, why did he die? I don't know. But I do think we need to heed his warning, very much so. Guys, let me know your thoughts on some of the topics that we talked about today, from the White House shakeup to the forever chemicals to now we're seeing that this has got a lot more ramifications. Please protect your children, protect your family, love on them. And I'll be honest with you, there's nothing more special than family. And I realize that each and every day. Let's protect them. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.